In a world of safe bets and frozen takes, most people are just happy to stay on the field. But here, the field is always changing. We don't just track the play, we analyze the shift. From front office maneuvers to locker room drama, we break down the wins that weren't supposed to happen and the losses that changed everything. Broadcasting live on the Empty the Bench Network, this is your deep dive into the ever-evolving landscape of the games we love. It's time to change the narrative. It's time to raise the stakes. This is Moving the Goalposts. And now, here's your hosts, Nick DiMartino and Johnny Montalbano.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Moving the Goalposts. I'm Nick DiMartino, and Johnny looks good today. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing well. Good to be back with you again for another week.
Yeah, so you can follow all the Empty the Bench shows on YouTube.com/ETB Network. You can follow this show across social media at ETB Network. At MTGP-ETB, and you can follow the Empty the Bench Network across social media at ETB Network. And you can listen to this show wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure to like and subscribe. All right. So apparently the NBA, so talking about Kawhi Leonard, because we didn't really talk about it much last week. I mean, we didn't talk about it at all last week. So apparently the NBA says that it found no evidence that Steve Ballmer funneled money. And this story is a little hard to follow because it's very complicated. It's complicated because it seems like Kawhi is more culpable, the player is more culpable than the owner is, which seems a little bit unusual to me.
I absolutely agree with you, because I am very confused, because you think about, all those reports that were coming out about when Kawhi was a free agent after he had helped the Raptors win the NBA championship those years ago, and that he was approaching owners and asking for things that, well, quite frankly, go against the National Basketball Association's CBA agreement. And the Lakers ownership called him out on it. They called him out on it, but the Clippers, it seems, were willing to do whatever to get him. So what they end up doing, according to all these reports from the likes of Pablo Torre, is using the Jumbotron company and doing some sort of sponsorship agreement, which that Jumbotron company doesn't do, these player-based sponsorships and these spokespeople. Like, they're not that kind of company. So I find it really hard to believe. And the crazy thing about it is Pablo Torre, during one of these podcast appearances where he was on talking about this story, he says, well, don't be surprised if nothing actually happens to Steve Ballmer. And, well, he ends up being right. There were those reports out there in the time that this investigation was going on that maybe Adam Silver didn't want to come down too hard on Ballmer because he likes Steve Ballmer personally, wants to maintain that close relationship with him.
Yeah, so I'm reading on ESPN.com what the investigation found, and basically they're focusing on whether or not the Clippers technically violated any rules, which is exactly what the article, the ESPN article, is saying. So the weird thing about it is we're hearing about like Kawhi Leonard potentially being suspended, but at the same time they're also just investigating whether or not any rules were even violated. Like,
I know
even if they get around the rules by a technicality that seems a little like, how do I say it, pedantic and ridiculous, even if that's true, technically they can't, if they didn't violate any rules, they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, well, the question, as I was saying, is more, but like actually goes to what you were just saying about they were investigating about the rules. But if the report we had that report from Pablo Torre that it seemed like kind of what you were saying before, that maybe Kawhi is not the innocent one in this because Kawhi, or was it Kawhi's uncle, which there were reports of like, is this if Kawhi's uncle was acting as his agent or not, and all this was approaching the teams and asking for things that go against the CBA. And in that case, then Kawhi Leonard doesn't have a great spotlight on him. And I guess at this point, it becomes who is more culpable. And Pablo Torre seemed to hint that there is more coming to this story.
It's just kind of bizarre to me how the story is bizarre because the investigation, it feels like, has been going on forever. Like it feels like there's no ending to this investigation. And in fairness, the NBA doesn't have the resources that, say, the FBI has. Like, they can't investigate as efficiently as police departments can, and police departments don't do it very well either. So I understand, but they're just not doing a very good job investigating this because, the Kawhi Leonard trade is on hold, and now they're saying, well, we're investigating whether or not they broke any rules. You'd think you'd be able to figure out if they broke any rules a little quicker than this. You'd think.
You would think. Well, at this point, they've got 2 months before the regular season starts. So you better get something on this done within the next 2 months.
Yeah, they're really pushing this along. I mean, they released the schedule before any of this. Like they released the schedule before we know what team Kawhi Leonard is going to be playing on next year.
If he is going to be playing on a team next year.
Well, he's not going to be suspended an entire season. He might be suspended for a little bit of the season. He's not going to miss an entire season because, he might miss an entire season if you include the suspension and the injuries. That might happen, but that would be a pretty Kawhi Leonard thing.
Just a load management, right?
In a weird way, suspending Kawhi Leonard wouldn't be that big of a deal because he misses so many games anyway. It's not like he plays 82 games. Like, it almost doesn't matter. It's almost like it would almost be like suspending a starting pitcher X number of games. Like, you play every fifth game.
Right.
Like, that's what it's like with Kawhi Leonard. This is a super bizarre thing. It's also a very Kawhi Leonard story. It sounds like such a Kawhi Leonard thing. It's like really bizarre, really like hard to figure out. Kawhi can't play until the investigation is concluded. I mean, yeah. That's true until the investigation is concluded, but it's like, all right, finish the investigation.
Yeah, like you said, what's the big deal on it?
Because I'm reading this ESPN article, and it's like they're still trying to figure out whether or not there was salary cap circumvention. What were you doing this whole time? Like, I mean, really, what were you doing this whole time? It was an 11th month investigation.
Mm-hmm. I had a feeling he would be chiming in with a comment like this. But I mean, as you said, 11 months, and then everything's like, we haven't found any sort
11
of
11 months. That's more than a pregnancy.
Not wrong.
Like how long does this take?
And I guess
we're in the fourth trimester of this investigation.
And I guess the question for me is, if the NBA ultimately has found no salary cap violation, no circumventing, does Kawhi regain any sort of reputation here? Does Ballmer lose any reputation, or has the damage been done? Because, as you said, it's been 11 months. And I guess if you want to put the league in there too, because it's been 11 months.
Well, I think the damage has been done, but Kawhi Leonard has such a reputation, which is, I mean, the weird thing about Kawhi Leonard is that I think his reputation was a lot better before he turned 30. And then post 30, his reputation kind of collapsed because, think about it, he has 2 titles, the Spurs and with the Raptors, including 2 finals MVPs.
So basically you're saying, like, post-COVID, it took a dive.
Yes, post-COVID.
Because I had to look up what year he was born. It was 91.
Yes, I think post-COVID, Kawhi Leonard's reputation took a nosedive. Like, if he never won a championship, his reputation would be so much different. And that I think is his biggest problem. But the thing is, because he won 2 championships and because he has a reputation for being so hardworking and comes across as humble, like he comes across as a lot more humble than most professional athletes. Because of that, it doesn't hurt his reputation that much. But the point is, I think the damage is done, really. Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, with Shohei Ohtani, it was proven that he was not betting on baseball. It was proven that it was his interpreter that was posing as him, calling the bank, pretending to be Shohei Ohtani, but the reputation has been done. People just don't listen, even if it's proven that you're innocent. 3 companies with no-show endorsement deals, and Adam says there is no evidence of cap circumvention.
Why has it taken 13 months to do this? Yeah.
I don't exactly... Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
Twiddling their thumbs as they just, you know what? We're going to take a day off today. We don't need to worry about this investigation. We'll put it off again. We'll put it off again.
Like, how much longer does this have to take?
I really don't know. Like, I guess they're trying to nip it in the bud. But as you said, it kind of makes no sense considering it took this long, considering Pablo Torre says there might be more to this story than was already known, which means this is just going to drag on and on. Same as it ever was.
I mean, the thing is, though, we keep hearing about more to this story. It's like, why haven't we heard about it by now? What is more? Like, what is the more to the story?
I don't know.
I feel like we should have heard about it by now. This investigation has been going on for 13 months. I mean, all right, fine, let's hear about it. Like,
At this point, I think a lot of people just want this to be done so that way we could, get to the basketball portion here. So that way we can get to whatever is going to happen for Kawhi Leonard and whatever is going to happen for, the Clippers and the Raptors in the immediate aftermath of this trade.
Yeah, I mean, so Kawhi Leonard hasn't played a full season, or ever. Kawhi Leonard hasn't played more than 70 games since the 2016-2017 season.
Jeez.
He has not. I wasn't old enough to drink legally the last time Kawhi Leonard played 70 or more games.
Jeez, that is forever. And that's before he won the championship with the Raptors.
Yes. Yeah. So in a way, like I said before, the suspension might not affect the regular season that much. I mean, it might affect. So let's say he goes to the Raptors. I think it would matter a lot more if he stays with the Clippers. But if he goes because in the West, I think seeding matters a little more than in the East. The East, I don't think seeding is the best proxy for who the best teams are. So in the East, if he were to play on the Raptors, I think it would matter a little less if he were to miss a bunch of regular season games and then shows up for the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess that's my question is just I'm trying to picture the insanity of something does get found out and the trade actually gets reversed. And now all of a sudden Kawhi's back on the Clippers again.
I think that would hurt the Raptors a whole lot because even though he's a bit older, Kawhi Leonard does have a lot of experience. He's a veteran. He provides leadership, and he's a good playoff performer. Like his skill set fits a lot better fits very well for the postseason. He's a good defender. He can get a stop. He's like it's not. Some guys' skill sets aren't really for the postseason. Kawhi Leonard's skill set, I think, is fit a lot better for the postseason, and I think it'll matter a lot for the Raptors. Even if he misses a whole bunch of regular season games, at least when the playoffs come around.
Right. And I mean, if you're the Clippers, you were heading into rebuildish kind of mode. Because the thing with the Clippers is it's clear that they're going into a rebuilding mode, but at the same time, people can say it's a retooling mode because I have seen takes along social media that the Clippers are playing one of the more friendlier schedules in the NBA to the point where they could still finish the season with 45 plus wins.
Yeah, and that can get you into the playoffs. I mean, like even in the West, like the West last year was obviously a lot better than the East, but it wasn't deep. It wasn't really deep. It was like there was a pretty after like.
I mean, 45 wins is a winning season, and that probably at minimum gets you into the play-in tournament.
Yeah, and at that point, anything can happen, really. Moving on to the Lakers. So apparently, Jeanie Buss blocked the Lakers' sale. Is what happened.
So the Buss family sells. So obviously, last week, two of us talked about Bob Iger and Josh Kushner acquiring the majority stake ownership in the Los Angeles Lakers, as Walter is being forced to scramble and sell off as much as he can because of the federal investigation that's on him. Pardon me, that's on him. And the Buss family, in a report within the last week, most of the siblings came together, sold off their remaining, whatever was 17, 18% minority stake that they still had. But Jeanie Buss is chiming in, stepping in and saying, that's not happening here.
Yeah, because she's still the owner.
Right. Well, she's the minority owner. The controlling owner and president of the Lakers.
Why did she do this?
I guess she does not want to give up her stake.
I guess. So how much do you think this what kind of impact do you think this has on the Lakers? Because the Lakers right now are in a weird position. It's post LeBron. Now it's Luka's team. Mm-hmm. Ownership is up in the air. I don't know how to feel about them.
I don't know either. Now, she is arguing that the family vote authorizing the sale was invalid and that as Lakers controlling owner, she is required to have some sort of input in this. The other siblings would, of course, argue that that she's the only one who is against the sale and that their multi-sibling agreement, if you will, should override the one dissenting opinion. So what we've got here is basically not just a team power struggle. We've got a family power struggle over one of the most valuable franchises in American sports, as weird of a position as the Lakers are in right now. So, I mean, this also goes, I guess, to the case of Jeanie Buss because one of the things that he wished was that Jeanie would remain in control. So I guess the question also comes into how much does his wishes go into this? Is this about protecting the Lakers' legacy or Jeanie protecting her own position?
Well, my question, though, is what exactly is the agreement? Does Jeanie Buss have a right to block this?
So Nick says Jeanie Buss is fighting to the death because she has to maintain 15% ownership to be governor of the Lakers. But there is a provisional clause, and Walter sold that they could sell at the same time.
But doesn't she as an owner doesn't she as an owner have a right to block the sale though?
Well, that's what Nick's saying. Nick is saying that she has to maintain 15% ownership to be governor of the Lakers and have power over the team. This kind of sale would eliminate her power.
Yeah, so you know, I mean, I kind of think that she's probably right about this, or at least not right, but like she can do that. She had if she doesn't have to agree to what her siblings want.
I think the thing that's most interesting for me, Nick, is that you've got this sibling rivalry, this family struggle, if you will, and this conflict is going in, as you said before, at a time when the Lakers are going to be in a transition period themselves. As in, is it going to completely hurt the team? Is it going to be a distraction, an off-the-court distraction while everything's going on the court as they're in a post-LeBron era? As you mentioned, and as we actually talked about last week, they still got Luka Doncic, and when they made the trade for Luka, he obviously became the centerpiece to the team, even with LeBron still there. But as you kind of mentioned last week, when you go from LeBron and now LeBron's not there, and Austin is now the sidekick to Luka, it seems. I mean, that's still a downgrade, a pretty significant downgrade, if you will.
Yeah, I think the Lakers made a really big mistake moving on from LeBron. I mean, they've really downgraded. Just without LeBron, the team's really downgraded. I don't really. Maybe there's a long-term argument, but they wouldn't have been paying. Like they would have been paying him a veteran's minimum deal. Like they wouldn't have been paying him much money. I think the whole thing. It was just a disaster. I think the Lakers were really stupid.
I think, but I don't know if LeBron necessarily wanted to stay.
I think maybe it was like mutual. I don't know. Wait, let me see. Her brothers went out and Jeanie took it to an extreme, saying she wished one of her brothers were never born. Also, the family is dysfunctional that they will only talk through lawyers. I mean, this is a type of conflict where you have to use lawyers to talk, but
yeah, but I also feel like in what Nick is saying that this is a conflict that's felt like it's been going on the last 15 years. Like after the Lakers won the back-to-back championships 09 into 10, and then you said you had the start of the decline of Kobe, and the Lakers became a struggling franchise at that point. It felt like that everything was starting to really fall apart. I don't think things have really – I mean, they've recovered. They were not necessarily to the point that I think the Buss family wants it to.
The Lakers, if you think about it, have been a pretty dysfunctional franchise for quite a while. I mean, they've won championships. It's not that they're not a big brand or that they haven't had great teams and great players. But if you think about it, there's been a whole lot of like if I were to compare them to a football team, I would compare them to the Eagles. They're historically a winning team, or at least within our lifetimes have won multiple times. But there's always been a circus, like the Shaq and Kobe circus, or like when Kobe demanded a trade there, which was post Shaq. There has been a whole lot of, and also the period of time, post Phil Jackson in like the 2010s, and like in the mid 2010s when the Lakers were.
Well, that's what I was talking about with the decline of Kobe, and then the mid 2010s, the franchise was not a great franchise at that point.
The Lakers, they're just like a roller coaster of a franchise with some winning sprinkled in. And this is just exactly what this is.
I have the theme song of the Lakers right here.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the court, but off the court, definitely.
Certainly. I mean, sometimes on the court too. You never know from what we're going to see. All right. So, we talk about Breece Hall. He suffered a groin injury. Yeah. Apparently, the Jets say he'll be available and ready for week 1. My biggest concern here is he going to actually be ready for week 1? That's my issue. It's like, don't play him if he's still hurt.
Like, if you're missing 2 to 3 weeks, right? Going off of where we're at right now, Nick, it's August 20th, the day that we're doing this show. So that puts you at September 3rd if 2 weeks, or September 10th at 3. So that's right before the season. Hell, September 10th, that's the day of the Australia game. That's really cutting it close. I don't know. I think maybe he'll be available week 1. I don't necessarily think he's going to get all the reps that he would normally get in a game like that if he's just coming back at that point.
Yeah. I mean,
oh, hold on a minute. I have the theme song of the Jets right here.
Okay. For everybody saying the Jets season is already over.
Oh, sorry.
Like here's the thing. It probably at some point during the season before Halloween, I'll probably say the season's over. I'm not going to go into it with the attitude of it's already over, it doesn't matter, because I don't know, by that logic, why follow? Like, I'm a fan. Why follow football at all? Like, why follow the Jets at all? So I'm not going to have that attitude.
Hey, I mean, fantasy is a reason you could follow football still.
Right. But my point is, like, the point with the Jets is like, okay, I'm still a Jet fan. I'm still going to give the team a chance before the season happens. It's like, all right, like, is it going to work out? Probably not, but I'll at least give it a chance. We play the games for a reason.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's just how I see it.
Well, I will say, it might become Rail and Allen season at this point if Breece Hall is really going to be out for a couple of weeks right before the season starts.
My biggest worry about Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson is that their careers are going to be wasted on the Jets. That's my
mean, and I mean, that is a good concern. And I mean, I want to believe in your attitude, but at the same time, when Nick is saying, oh, the season's over, I mean, first of all, I can say that's Nick Morgerson. But second of all, in all of the previews that I have seen for the upcoming NFL season, a lot of the win total predictions, I saw the USA Today season preview or record preview that I posted I think it was in the general chat of our Slack a couple weeks ago. They were predicted to be a 3-14 team. And then one preview that I saw recently, I'm trying to see from who, they actually had the Jets as the worst team in the league at 1-16. PFN. PFN had them at 1-16.
Yeah, and that wouldn't surprise me. But look, all I'm saying is, look, we don't play games virtually. We actually play them. So I'm not going to go in saying they're just going to be 1-16. I mean, they might, and if that happens, great. Then we get the number one pick in the draft. Maybe we can get Arch. Maybe. So, but I never go into the season being like, all right, it's not even September yet. I'm not going to go into the season and be like, well, let's tank this year. I'm not going to do that. And the thing you also have to understand about football is I don't think teams actually tank very much. Not saying it's never happened, but it's not like the NBA.
But I know where you're going. That the idea that the players and the coaches, they play to borrow the words of the legend Herb Abrams. They play to win the game.
Exactly. So as much as like at some point I might just say I want the Jets to tank this year, I'm not going to go in it's still August. I'm not going to go into the season and be like, well, I really hope they go in and just lose every game. I'm not going to say that yet. Because the truth about football is that you never know. You really never know what might happen. Like, if you go on no, I don't think that. But the point is, everything isn't so black and white. Like, I still want to have the thing is, I'm not going to write the season off until it actually happens. I'm not am I crazy for saying I'm not going to write the season off?
You're trying to be a good fan.
Right. Like, I'm not even saying I'm optimistic or that Geno Smith's going to do anything good. I'm not saying I think I'm going to be happy about it. I'm just saying it's like, I'm not going to write it all off. I'm not going to burn bridges before they're built.
No. Like,
I'm not going to do that either.
Right. Like, here's my thought with my team, Nick. I know obviously the big talking point is John Harbaugh. I know the big talking points are, another year of development for all the young guys. Do I see us making the playoffs even in the first year of John Harbaugh? I know there have been years where, under let's say Ben McAdoo when he came in 2016 or Daboll's first year where they did end up making the playoffs and then everything came down crashing. I don't really know if that's the case here. I think I'm looking for 6 or 7 wins, but I'm not saying that. Yeah, exactly. Why did I know that was going to happen? So I'm looking at a 6-11 record, maybe a 7-10 record. I really do not see them making the playoff. But having said that, am I going to root for them to make the playoffs? Absolutely. Am I going to complain if they make the playoffs? Hell no. I guess I guess I'm saying that because I get your sense of optimism, because it's like I'm trying to have the balance of the realism and the optimism.
But like I said, it's not even that I'm optimistic. I'm actually generally very pessimistic. And it's hard to be pessimistic as a Jet fan because the most pessimistic Jet fans are very often not pessimistic enough, because what ends up happening is usually so bad.
I have the vision in my mind right now of that one kid from last year, the kid who went viral. He's getting interviewed and he's like, "I hate this team. I was born into it. Yeah, that's still gonna root for them, but
Yeah,
this is basically hell."
But like for me, my biggest concern is also that it's not even necessarily that they're going to lose a lot, which, I mean, like I said before, that could end up being good because you end up getting the higher draft pick. And at some point, I do typically root for the Jets to lose to get the higher draft pick. Like, I don't care about winning meaningless games.
I don't know if I can do that anymore because 2 years in a row, the Giants end up coming close and then winning a game and it doesn't matter.
The problem with the mindset of going into the season with, well, let's just tank, is that even if the team is unbearably awful, like the Jets were last year, there's still a really good chance that they're not going to get the first pick in the draft. Because as bad as you are, there's typically another team
that's worse.
So the problem with going into it rooting for the Jets to be awful and just giving up completely is, well, we did that last year. The Jets were pretty awful, and the Raiders were worse.
Well, now, I was just going to say the same thing for the Giants. The Giants were awful, but the Raiders were worse.
But here's the thing, though. The Giants were a substantially better team than the Jets, and at least the Giants, if you watch them, you have some hope.
It was just a matter of our defense continuously letting us down.
With the Jets, it's entirely just a dead end, and something significant needs to change. Sure, I wish the Jets didn't beat the Bengals. Like, maybe we would have gotten Fernando Mendoza. But the point is that you can't engineer a season. The games are played on the field, and what the Jets did last year is more likely to happen than the Jets going 1-16 and getting the first pick in the draft. Like that's less likely to happen.
By odds, yes.
Gino will have more speeding tickets than Jets wins. Very likely. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I might have more speeding tickets than Jets wins. So, I mean, that's not really saying much. But
well, football forecast is coming back, and so will the Jets videos.
Mm-hmm.
And the Giants videos if they continue to be like last season.
I mean, if you look at the Giants have a much better shot than the Jets do.
Oh yeah,
it's not even close.
Oh, I say that for sure. The reason I said I'm looking at 6-11 or 7-10 for the Giants is because I think this is going to be a little bit different than what you saw in the Dable era or what you saw in the McAdoo era. I think what the Giants are doing is a true slow build where it's been a couple years down now, and now it's all about development. So that way you have long-term consistent success instead of these one-off magical season appearances in the playoffs.
Yeah. And if you look at I'm looking at some future. I'm looking at
futures bets.
Yeah, so Super Bowl winner, can you guess who has the best odds to or lowest odds to win the Super Bowl?
Lowest odds?
Correct. As in
Jets?
most likely.
Oh, most likely. Okay.
Those are lower odds.
Okay. Patriots?
No.
Not the Patriots. Wouldn't be the Chiefs again, would it? Okay, I was like, I know Patrick Mahomes is coming back, but still. Wasn't it the Rams?
Yeah. At plus 550. And then the Bills and Ravens are tied at plus 1,000.
The Bills, I think I've lost all faith in. Not that I think they're a bad team, but it's the Buffalo curse. They just collapse every time in the postseason.
You know what, though? we also said the same thing about the Knicks. You really never know. Like, I just don't buy into the argument that curses exist. Because, like, I
don't mean curse in that regard. I just mean that they have the potential. They always do, but they always seem to find a way.
I get it. I'm just saying, we also said the same thing about the Knicks. I'm just saying, like, you never know what might end up happening. I think that they do have a legitimate shot. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, look, that's the history that they have, but it wouldn't stun me if they were to win.
I guess it would be a relieving feeling for a lot of football if the Bills actually managed to win. And as far as the Ravens go, I mean, similar situation, but I think the thing with me is just the fact that now we as the Giants have Harbaugh and now they don't. I'm wondering what the Ravens are going to look like in a Harbaugh-less era.
Well, how did they look like with Harbaugh? Blowing a whole lot of leads. I mean, I don't know. Like, it didn't exactly work out all that great with Harbaugh, at least, not.
Yeah, I guess my thing is, like, I see a lot of people talking Minter up. I just don't know if I'm completely sold on Minter yet.
Right, but at the same time, as a Giant fan, you can't be totally sold on Harbaugh either.
Yeah, I guess I'm just putting more hope in the fact that there is somebody who has a lot of success right now. Like, yeah, Harbaugh, you can point to some struggles within Baltimore. He still won Super Bowl there.
Yeah, well, that's true, but it was also 13 years ago. Like, it was still a long time ago. He hasn't won since. And also, like, I think Jesse Minter is a really good defensive mind. The biggest problem with the Ravens in recent years has been their defense has been horrible. So that certainly
Which is a shame because once upon a time, I mean, that team historically has always been known for great defenses. But like even in recent years, like you go back to the start of this decade, end of the 2010s, they still had a phenomenal defense. And since then, it's been kind of, I don't want to say a complete decrease, but a pretty steadily one.
Yeah. I mean, in the past couple of years, the Ravens, they were just giving up a lot of points. Can we move on to college football?
Let's talk college.
All right. So, we're previewing the 26-27 season.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, who has more pressure, USC or Texas? Now, I think USC is a little bit like the Texas of the West Coast, in the sense that they're both really big brands. They were both bad right around the same time, and they both got good again right around the same time, generally speaking.
I think it's a split for me, only because, like, if you're talking from a school/coach angle, it would be USC and Lincoln Riley. But in terms of players, I think Arch Manning as a player has more pressure on him than any of the USC players. Because Arch Manning, I may not be as big as a college follower as you or Johnny, Nick, but let's call a spade a spade. Last year's season for Arch Manning in Texas was not great. And he's able to get another year, and now he's coming back here for his senior season. There was a lot of speculation if he was going to enter this past year's draft. Ends up not doing so, which I think was the right thing, because it's clear he still needs more work. So now when you know that he's going to be in the pool for the 2027 draft, now that you know that he's going to be a pool in, well, let's face it, kind of making reference to what you were saying before, Nick, the 2027 NFL draft is going to be the year of the college football quarterback. You've got a loaded class that's going to be expected in next year's pool. If you're Arch Manning, you need to make a big showing. There obviously has been a ridiculous amount of hype because of his last name, but this is not just a matter of, is he going to be a great college quarterback? It's a matter of, is he going to be able to rebound from last season? And is he going to be able to rebound and, show why he could be worthy of the number 1 overall pick? So if you're talking in a player sense, Arch Manning, I think, has more pressure on him than any of the players. Now, if you're talking about the schools and the coaches, I would say that Lincoln Riley probably has a lot of pressure on him. He's gone, I think, 35-18 in 4 seasons, but they haven't reached the college football playoff. They're ranked number 14, I think, entering the season. I actually forgot to bring up the college football rankings on my screen. So I think they were somewhere in the middle, like 13 or 14.
Last year, they were just outside the top 12. And frankly, I mean, last year's season was, the thing with college football is that every team's journey is so vastly different that it's not like in the NFL where it's like every team's journey is at least something similar in a sense. In college football, it's completely different. The thing with Arch Manning is that if I were to compare I'll put Arch Manning in baseball terms. Arch Manning last year was like the Juan Soto of college football, in the sense that there was so much hype around him that
because he was finally getting the starting opportunity at Texas.
Right. But the point I'm making is he was like Juan Soto in the sense that there was so much hype around him that no matter what he did, it was going to be a disappointment because the expectations were so high. Like Juan Soto's first year with the Mets was a really good season, but people don't remember it that way because he was hyped up so much that if he hit anything less than 300 or something like that with 50 home runs, it's a disappointing season because they paid him this much money. It was a similar thing with Arch Manning. He was the fact him being overhyped became overhyped, in other words.
Right, because you had that storyline for years, his freshman, sophomore season, when you had Quinn Ewers in as the quarterback.
Yeah.
And you had all the chance of we want Arch, and that there was all this talk because, this is the next generation of Manning. This is the nephew of Peyton and Eli. They were all about Arch. And when he finally got the opportunity, it was his first season as a starting college football quarterback. So you knew that, this goes to something that we've talked about with rookies. Actually, if we're going to make another baseball comparison in recent episodes that I've been on with you, Nick, this goes to what we've talked about with George Lombard Jr. of the Yankees, where it's he is a rookie. You're going to have all this expectation and pressure on him, but at the same time, he is still a rookie and needs to learn and develop. Arch Manning needed last season to learn and develop, and now he gets a senior season, and he was advised. Hell, he was, I think his grandfather, he even advised him even before the start of his junior season. He said, do your senior season. Do it. So that way, because on one hand, if he ends up struggling, then like last year, then there's an opportunity for a rebound. And I guess where the sense of, hey, do your season in full, or do your college career in full, even after a great junior season, it would have still been, I guess, for the sake of learning and developing. And I think we've lost Nick for a little bit. But I'll go back to what he was talking about in terms of his question about USC and Texas. The point I was trying to make about Lincoln Riley was that, what did I say? 35-18 record? Yeah. So the goal at this point is to get into the playoff. And you've got, what's his? Okay. All right. We're going to try to, Nick DiMartino did drop. We're going to try to get him back. As far as I was saying about USC, Jaden Maivia is going to be the guy. He needs to be the guy for USC to succeed. 3,711 yards and 24 touchdowns last year, 91.2 QBR, so he was ranked first nationally. Is this a matter of being a great Lincoln Riley quarterback? Is he simply a good college quarterback? It is going to be a dangerous offense because whether this is a Lincoln Riley crafted product or he's just that damn good, you got him. You've got who are the running backs? King Miller, Wayman Jordan. You've got Tinnock Hines. They've got a dangerous offense. But the question is going to revolve around the defense. They now have Gary Patterson as defensive coordinator, and USC's defense in the recent years, it hasn't been as lauded and doesn't do as well as compared to an Ohio State defense, an Indiana defense, an Oregon defense, a Georgia defense, Texas defense. They may not need to have the greatest of defenses, but they still need something. They need something to be able to compete with the likes of their competition. As Nick D mentioned, they were ranked just outside. They finished just outside, the top 12. They just narrowly missed the college football playoff. And is the college football playoff still going to be 12 teams for 2026? Yes, it will. Is it going to move? Didn't they announce it was going to move to 16 teams at some point, or did they try to do that? Okay, they tried to go to 16 or 24 point team playoff. All right, at least through the end of the 2026 season. So it sounds like there's an opportunity for expansion after this year, but we don't know. But at this point, like I said, you got to be in the top 12. I'm not expecting the perfect season from USC. I'm not expecting, complete perfection, and I'm not expecting that everything is going to go smooth. I'm not expecting the defense to be 100% great. But just you need to be competitive, and you need to be competitive enough to give that explosive offense the opportunity. You need to give the opportunities for Jaden to be great. You need to give opportunities for Tinnock Hines to make great plays, for King Miller and Wayman Jordan, that they can run all over the field. You don't want it to be a case where USC struggles because they manage to score 30, 40 points a game, but end up giving up 40, 45, 50 points a game. It just can't be that way. And if it ends up being that way, I will feel for everybody at USC. I will feel for their fans because that's just going to be one of the more infuriating things if it ends up being that case. It just can't be that kind of case. So, like I said before, if we're talking about, who has more pressure on them, in terms of a player, I would still put Arch Manning as being more under pressure compared to anybody else on that USC team, even Jaden Maivia. But in terms of an overall team expectation kind of pressure, this team needs to be good, then obviously it's USC who's going to have all of the pressure on them. So I guess where I'm going with it, that's where I'm going with it. We'll talk more about college football in just a little bit to wrap things up here on Moving the Goalpost. Before then, however, let me just give out the big news again. If you missed it from this past week here at the ETB Network, the Empty the Bench Network is pleased to announce that the network has surpassed 3,000 watch hours on YouTube, and we cannot thank you, the viewers, enough for your outstanding support in making this milestone possible. Thanks to viewers like you, in the coming days and next week, we will be rolling out all the details about our super chats, super stickers, super thanks, channel membership tiers, perks, merch store, and so much more. We thank you again for your support of ETB Network programming. All right, let's see if we can get Nick back.
Can you hear me now? I'm back.
Yeah, I have you, but you're very robot-y. And I think your
fucking
picture.
time.
Okay, never mind. All right, I think we got you back now. Maybe not. But yeah, I want to just give a quick shout out to all of you out there. Over 1,160 subscribers now on YouTube, over 3,000 watch hours. I think we're quickly approaching 3,100 watch hours at this point, which thank you again. We can't thank you guys enough for your support. And I mean, hell, going into football season, that's something that, really is motivating and really is humbling that we have your support and all the, and you guys are getting great entertainment value out of this, whether it's us being experts or us being fools. So thank you all for your support of the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. Just, however, going on about some of the best teams that are out there. And, okay, there we go. We got you back.
Yes. I'm sorry I made you talk about college football all by yourself. My internet is so cruel. It made somebody from Staten Island talk about college football.
There's still some college football fandom here.
Not a lot is my point. It's probably of all counties in America, it's probably the least amount of college football fans.
I don't know, honestly.
I made that up a little bit. Maybe the other boroughs. I have no idea. Just that general area. That there's not a lot of college. There's not a lot of college football fans in New Jersey either.
Well, that's the thing. Like if you're talking the northeast, yeah, you're gonna have more NFL fandom than college fandom. If you're talking like Johnny's area in South Carolina, there's a lot more college fandom than NFL fandom.
Yeah. So I don't know.
My point that I was going to with you, Nick, was that, if we're talking about a specific player, Arch Manning's got the pressure on. If we're talking about schools as a whole, Lincoln Riley and USC have the pressure on them, because if they don't make the playoff again, then you're going to have a lot of questions. Well, I guess what I was saying before was that, they've got great offensive players like Jaden Maivia, their quarterback. Hell of a quarterback, had one of the top, if not the number one QBR in the NCAA last year. But the defense is a struggle. And for the USC to be successful, they don't need a perfect defense, but they don't need situations where, their offense gives them 40 points a game, but they lose because they give up 50 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, they've gotten a little better in that regard. I'll say, I mean, that's also a typical Lincoln Riley type of team. Lincoln Riley's had teams all full with teams that were usually all offense, no defense, like his Oklahoma teams typically. Mm-hmm. And the thing with USC is, I think you nailed it. For somebody who doesn't follow college football much, you really nailed it.
Well, I do my homework before the shows that I'm on.
Yeah, so in terms of the head coach, Lincoln Riley, in terms of the player, Arch Manning. And what my point was, I was saying that Arch Manning was like the Juan Soto of college football, in the sense that like there was so much hype around Juan Soto. The fact that he was being overhyped became overhyped. It is basically the point I was making.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when he shares a name with two of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL.
Right. And the thing with Arch Manning is he did have a good season last year. He got off to a rough start, but if you look at the way the season ended, he finished really strong. Like,
right. I guess the point that I was going to before you cut off was that I don't remember necessarily. It might have been even before the junior season happened. Somebody, I think it might have been the grandfather, told him, go for your senior season, because, I mean, yeah, he could have had a great junior season. Then it becomes a question of risking draft stock. But I think the fact that he didn't have the greatest of season last year might end up being a blessing in disguise. Now there's more development for him. any deals like NIL that he has in college, he continues to make money on, and Texas gets another year with him, and it's another year development and learning, a chance to rebound, and a chance for a high draft stock, if not the number one overall pick. I say high draft stock, maybe not necessarily number one overall, because as I said before, this coming draft class for the NFL, this college season, you're gonna have a lot of great competition at quarterback.
Yeah, like if you look at, I mean, Arch in a weird way has been such a great thing for Sark, because if it weren't for Arch, all the pressure would be on Sark, all of it. And the thing is that Texas, I think, can be a really, really good team. I think they can be a playoff team. I think they should be a playoff team. I think I could see them being like the second best team in the SEC next year, potentially, behind Georgia and all that. I mean, I'm not saying that's my pick.
Right, but Georgia's still Georgia.
Right. Georgia's still Georgia. And I think they're going to be the best team in the SEC. I still think the SEC runs through Georgia. But I think Texas could be potentially the second best team in the SEC. The thing is that Texas has a bit of a brutal schedule. They're going on the road. They have to play Oklahoma on the road, which is, I'm sorry, not on the road. That's Red River. That's a neutral site, but they do play Red River, which is going to be tough. Red River is always, because Oklahoma is going to be a little better than they were last year, because John Mateer is supposed to be healthy. Mm-hmm. So they have to play Oklahoma. They go on the road to play LSU, and on the road to play A&M at the end of the season.
Yeah,
so
that's
in
definitely
the last 3 weeks on the road at LSU and on the at home against Arkansas. That shouldn't be tough, but also on the road against A&M. I think their schedule is really difficult. Not to mention a home game that they play against Ole Miss, which I think also can be very difficult, and of course Ohio State that they play in week 2 in the non-conference. So their schedule is brutal. USC also has a pretty brutal schedule. Looking at USC's schedule. In fact, USC's schedule might actually be more brutal than, they're a Big Ten team, but they might even be more brutal than Texas's schedule. USC is playing the most difficult schedule possible if you're a Big Ten team this year.
And I guess, when you think about the college football world as a whole, as you mentioned about the difficulty of playing LSU and Texas A&M on the road, those are two programs that are ranked in the top 12 right now preseason. Mm-hmm. And that they're going to want to, if they're not serious contenders, then it's a major disappointment. If those two schools do not make the CFB playoff at the end of the season, it's going to be a major disappointment. Obviously, you've got Ohio State, who are the number one team as of this point. Julian Saint, Jeremiah Smith. They're showing that they can be the powerhouse, being national champions a couple of years ago. Indiana is ranked number 6, and I think some of that's just because now Fernando Mendoza has moved on to the NFL, and so it becomes the question about quarterback transition.
Well, Josh Hoover is the old TCU quarterback, is their new quarterback, who's no Fernando Mendoza, but you know what? We didn't know Fernando Mendoza would be Fernando Mendoza before he went to Indiana, so you never really know. But if you if you look at USC's schedule, they have to play Oregon, Washington. This is a 3-week stretch for them. Oregon at home, Oregon and Washington at home, and then Penn State on the road in a 3-week stretch. And then they play Ohio State at home and Indiana on the road 2 weeks in a row.
That's rough.
They play not 2 weeks in a row. There's a bye week.
Right, but what you said before, playing all those road games is rough. And even Oregon, even though you're playing at home, Dante Moore is still a Heisman candidate entering this season. If you're talking about Heisman candidates, Arch is there, Saint is there. Jeremiah Smith's probably the best non-QB candidate so far preseason. Moore is there. What's his name from Notre Dame? Oh, Carr.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, they're not playing Notre Dame this year.
Okay, but you're talking
Yeah,
about
it's a good year not to play Notre Dame because that's going to be a brutal schedule. I
right.
mean, there is, so if you look at those 5 games, it's like they have to. I mean, Washington at home, I think, is very beatable because Washington, at least last year, they were not a good road team.
Mm-hmm.
So I
And
think
then with I forget which school you mentioned it, but playing Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss is obviously another one of these quarterbacks in the mix.
Yes. Although USC, they're not playing Ole Miss.
I said I forget what you brought up Ole Miss, but I forget for which school.
Yeah. So yeah, US. If you look at although their non-conference schedule is actually pretty bad. If USC's non-conference schedule, but their Big Ten schedule is as brutal as you can get, and for most of these teams, it seems like you have to win. Even with the 12-team playoff, it seems like you have to win 10 games. 9-3, a 9-3 USC team might not cut it. They're going to have to. I mean, if you look at these 5 games, even if you don't include Washington, it's like
they're going to need a season.
Yeah,
they're going to need a season like last year where you had a lot of big, well-known teams losing for them to get into 9-3.
They're going to have to split They're going to have to split the Ohio State-Indiana game. I'm sorry, Ohio State-Oregon game. I mean, Indiana, they might be a bit more beatable. We don't really know yet. But on the road against Indiana is going to be tough. They're going to have to win at least one of those 3 games if they can beat Penn State on the road, which might, I mean, the only thing with Penn State that might help them is that they're playing them October 10th, and that's still fairly early in the season, and Penn State has a new head coach, new coaching staff, all that. That might help. That might be a little bit of a disadvantage.
Not to mention a very big distraction. I know it's not involving student athletes. But...
Perfect transition to Penn State cocaine. This is crazy. This is like something straight out of a movie.
Right.
I'm sure you saw all the mugshots of those frat bros that were caught selling cocaine.
What's his name? T-Rob, which, by the way, you saw how they got caught, right?
It was through Venmo transactions.
He was using his real name on Venmo.
What an idiot. So he was using his real name. I wonder what, like, you know how you go on Venmo and you see what people pay each other for? Like there's a subject. What did this say? I wonder what the subject was for this.
I have no idea. The story supposedly is that you had T-Rob and somebody else who were, I remember his initials were AA. I forget. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but basically they were the leaders.
I think is his last name.
Yeah, Abatello. They were the leaders of all this, and apparently they were making pledges, like make the packages.
Yeah,
like, that's kind of insane. Which, by the way, hold on. Usually it's a stupid hazing prank to get into, but who would have thought packaging and selling is what gets you? Yeah, seriously. And by the way, you're talking about distractions, for distractions off the field. It's going to be 15 years since the Sandusky-Paterno scandal broke for Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State, they're just addicted to scandals.
I mean, it took a while for them to rebound from that scandal. It took, they didn't really recover until the Trace McSorley led Penn State team, which also had Saquon Barkley and Miles Sanders on it. But that was a great team. It's said that team didn't have as much success.
Yeah, that Rose Bowl game against USC, that was a really sick game. Almost as sick as this cocaine.
Jesus.
I mean, I don't know. Like that's hazing at frats is a weird. I was never in one, but I know it's.
Yeah.
There are a lot of weird rituals. Can we just
very weird? Like
we have some breaking news.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to mention that.
Doesn't involve cocaine. James.
I know. Hold on. I may not be Colin McClurg, but let's see if I can get the. Oh yeah.
So James Harden agreed to a 3-year, $97 million contract to return to the Cavs.
He's fat. That's all I can really say. I mean, good on Harden. Wow. This later in his career, and he's still getting a big bag like that.
Yeah, so I don't know. A big bag like those Penn State Fat Frozen.
But
like, it makes you think, though. It's like, how often does this type of thing actually happen? Because it must happen a lot, but they're smart enough not to get caught. Like, it probably happens all the time, but they're smart enough to not put their to not actually use their real names on Venmo. And that's a weird transaction. It's like, I got Coke. It's like, I don't have cash. You have Venmo?
Venmoing for drugs just sounds completely like the dumbest thing possible.
Well, clearly they don't teach you how to sell drugs properly at Penn State.
Clearly they were book smart and not street smart. And what was just baffling to me was seeing T-Rob's mugshot and he's grinning in it.
Yeah. I love how his name is Thomas Robinson, like the NBA player.
Yeah. I would joke, where, we with that mugshot and his appearance in the mugshot, it's like, oh, my daddy's a lawyer. He'll bail me out. His dad is a defense attorney and he got charged up too.
That was the coolest dad ever.
Yeah, and supposedly he had a vault and they were storing the drugs in there. And I think I read one report that said a handgun was in there too.
Look, I can't try cocaine because I'm afraid I'd like it. I've heard amazing reviews. People that tried cocaine are like, yeah, I highly recommend.
That might be the most unhinged quote this network has ever.
Because, well, if you think about it, like, it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to like it. That's why you shouldn't try it.
Because I'm staying far away from that, my friend.
If you don't like it, you don't want to do it, obviously. But if you do like it, well, that's a problem.
I'm staying far away from that one, my friend.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's another edition of Moving the Goalposts. We'll be back next week with more of a non-cocaine episode. So, see you guys then.
Bye, everyone.